Faux Lake! Faux Lake! They took her! Bisola's scream tore through the Ogunlai Properties office at 7 in the morning, shattering the peace Faux Lake had carefully built over 6 months. She burst through the door, face streaked with tears. Phone clutched in her shaking hand. Blood ran from a gash above her eyebrow. Her blouse was torn at the shoulder. Folake shot up from her desk, coffee spilling across documents. Bisola, what happened? Who took who? Zainab. Bisola collapsed against the door frame, gasping for breath. Men came to the safe house, 4 of them, professionals. They had guns. They took Zainab and they said... Her voice cracked. They said you're next. The world tilted. Folake grabbed Bisola's shoulders. When? When did this happen? 20 minutes ago. I tried to stop them. One of them hit me. Bisola touched the bleeding cut. They knew exactly where her room was. Folake, they knew the security codes, everything. Behind Bisola, Temitope appeared in the doorway, face pale. Mom, what's happening? Folake's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her hands went ice cold as she answered. A man's voice, smooth and terrifying in its calmness. Mrs. Ogunlay, we have Zainab Nwosu. If you want her back alive, close your foundation. Today. Or we start returning survivors to you in pieces. The line went dead. Welcome back to Stories by Tino, where we bring you powerful African family dramas that touch hearts and challenge injustice. If you watched part 1 of Faux Lake's story, you know her journey from abuse survivor to successful businesswoman who helps other women escape violence. But today, we enter part 2, where Faux Lake discovers that some enemies are far more dangerous than the husband she escaped. Thank you for your continued support. Your comments, likes, and shares help these stories reach women who need them most. Before we continue, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now, let's dive into the most dangerous chapter of Faux Lake's life. Faux Lake stood frozen in her office, phone still pressed to her ear, even though the line was dead. Mom? Temitope's voice seemed to come from very far away. Mom, what did they say? Bisola slid down the door frame to the floor, sobbing into her hands. This is my fault. I should have heard them break in. I should have... No. Folake's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. She set down her phone with careful precision. Her hands wanted to shake, but she wouldn't let them. Not now. This is not your fault. This is whoever sent them. Who would do this? Temi asked, her voice small and scared in a way Folake hadn't heard since they left Doton. Folake knew exactly who. Chief Obioma Nwosu, Zainab's husband, the billionaire oil magnate who'd beaten his wife so badly 3 weeks ago that she'd arrived at Faux Lake's safe house with a ruptured spleen, broken ribs, and cigarette burns on her arms. The man whose wife now had evidence, recordings, financial documents, photographs of not just his abuse, but his corruption, money laundering, bribes to politicians, and according to Zainab, proof that he'd murdered his previous wife and made it look like suicide. Faux Lake had known he was dangerous, but she'd underestimated how dangerous. Call the police, she told Temi. Now. Already did, Bisola said from the floor, voice hollow. They said they'd send someone. But Folake, the men who took her, they moved like military, like professionals. This wasn't random thugs. Someone paid a lot of money for this. Faux Lake's phone buzzed again. This time, the caller ID made her stomach drop. Taiwo Fashola, Dotun's lawyer. She almost didn't answer. Then she thought about the message Dotun had sent 2 days ago. The warning she'd dismissed as manipulation, things that could put you in danger. She answered. What? Mrs. Ogunlay? Taiwo's voice was urgent, none of his usual legal formality. I need you to listen very carefully. My client has information about Chief Obioma Nwosu, information that could save lives. He's been trying to warn you for 3 days. Warn me about what? But even as she asked, Folak knew. Zainab's abduction. It had already happened. Nwosu has connections to organized crime, private military contractors. When his wife disappeared 3 weeks ago, he put out a contract, not just to find her, but to destroy anyone helping her. Taiwo paused. That means you, Mrs. Ogunle, your foundation, everyone associated with it. Folaki's office suddenly felt very small. Why would Dotun care about warning me? I don't know, but he's been frantic about getting this information to you. He claims Nwosu bragged about his plans to another inmate, someone Dotun used to do business with. The details match exactly what you're dealing with right now, don't they? Folake closed her eyes. Zainab was taken this morning. They called, threatened to kill her unless I shut down the foundation. Silence on the other end. Then, Mrs. Ogunle, you need to meet with my client today. He has names, details about Nwosu's operation, information the police don't have. Why should I trust anything Dotun says? Because right now, he's the only person who knows what you're up against, and because... Taiwo's voice dropped lower. Between you and me, I think he's genuinely afraid for you. Whatever else he is, he doesn't want you dead. Folake opened her eyes and looked at Bisola bleeding on her floor, at her daughter's terrified face, at the phone that had just delivered a death threat. 6 months ago, she'd escaped one monster. Now she was facing another, worse one. And the only person who could help was the first monster. The irony was devastating. Set up the meeting, she heard herself say, but it happens at the prison, with guards present, and I'm bringing my lawyer. Agreed. I can arrange for this afternoon. 2 p.m.? Fine. Folake hung up and immediately called Ngozi. The lawyer answered on the first ring. Folake, I just heard. Bisola called me. Are you safe? For now. But Ngozi, we have a problem. Multiple problems. Folake moved to the window, looking out over Ibadan. I need you to come with me to Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison this afternoon. Why would we... Understanding dawned in Ngozi's voice. No, absolutely not. You are not meeting with that man. He has information about Chief Nwosu, about who took Zainab. He's manipulating you. Maybe. Folake watched a mother and child walking on the street below, ordinary people living ordinary, safe lives. But what if he's not? What if he really knows something that could save Zainab's life? Can I afford not to listen? Ngozi was quiet for a long moment. You realize this could be exactly what Dotun wants, to make you dependent on him again, to insert himself back into your life. I know. Folake's reflection in the window looked tired, scared, but also determined. But I started this foundation to save women like Zainab. I can't abandon her because talking to Dotun makes me uncomfortable. That would make me a coward. It would make you smart. Then I guess I'm choosing to be brave instead of smart. Folake turned from the window. 2 p.m. Kirikiri Prison. Will you come? A sigh. Someone needs to protect you from your own conscience. Yes, I'll come. After hanging up, Folake found Temitope had moved Bisola to the sofa and was cleaning the cut on her forehead with gentle efficiency. Her daughter had grown up so fast. Too fast. Temi, I need you to do something for me. Her daughter looked up, first aid supplies in hand. Anything. Call your grandmother. Tell her to take Fummy and go to Aunt Biodun's house in Lagos, the one with security gates and guards. Temi's eyes widened. You think we're in danger too? I think we can't take chances. Folake crouched beside the sofa. If Nwosu is willing to kidnap one woman from my safe house, he might target my family to pressure me. I won't risk you or your sister. What about you? Temi's voice cracked. Who's keeping you safe? Folake forced a smile she didn't feel. I have lawyers, security. The police are involved now. I'll be fine. You said that before. Temi's eyes filled with tears. When we were living with Dad, you always said you'd be fine, but you weren't. The words hit like a physical blow. Folake pulled her daughter into her arms. This is different. I'm not trapped anymore. I'm not silent. And I have an army of people protecting me now. Then why are you going to see Dad? Temmie pulled back. Because you are, aren't you? I can see it on your face. Sometimes Foleka forgot how perceptive her eldest daughter was. He might have information that can help Zainab. Or he might be lying to get close to you again. Temmie's voice was fierce. Mom, he hurt you for 12 years. Don't let him fool you into thinking he's changed just because he's in jail. I won't. Foleka cupped her daughter's face. I promise you, I see exactly who your father is. Nothing he says today will change that. But if there's even a chance he knows something that saves Zainab's life, I have to take it. Bisola spoke up from the sofa, voice ragged. She's right, Temmie. Zainab has 3 children, 5, 7, and 9 years old. If we don't find her... She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. 4 hours later, Foleka stood outside Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison in Lagos, trying to control her breathing. She hadn't seen Doten since the divorce was finalized. 6 months of freedom from his face, his voice, his presence. 6 months of slowly learning to sleep without nightmares, to flinch less at sudden movements, to believe she deserved happiness. Now she was about to walk back into his orbit voluntarily. Beside her, Ngozi touched her arm. You don't have to do this. We can walk away right now. No, we can't. Foleka straightened her shoulders. She'd chosen her outfit carefully. Professional navy suit, hair in a severe bun, minimal jewelry, armor. Zainab doesn't have time for me to be squeamish. They passed through security, metal detectors, pat-downs, paperwork, each step taking them deeper into the prison complex. The meeting room was small and institutional. Concrete walls, metal table bolted to the floor, 2 chairs on each side, a guard stationed by the door. Foleka and Ngozi sat, waited. Then the door opened, and Doten walked in. 6 months in prison had changed him. He'd lost weight. His face was gaunter, older. The expensive suits were gone, replaced by orange prison-issued clothing. His clean-shaven head showed more gray, but his eyes, those dark eyes that had once looked at her with love, then with hatred, now held something she couldn't quite read. Regret? Fear? Manipulation? She couldn't tell, and she didn't trust herself to know. Foleka. His voice was rough, like he hadn't used it much. Thank you for coming. She said nothing, just stared at him across the metal table, this man who'd shaped so much of her trauma, sitting in chains. Ngozi spoke instead. Mr. Babalola, my client is here because you claim to have information about Chief Obioma Nwosu. If you're wasting our time, I'm not. Doten leaned forward, chains rattling. His eyes never left Foleka's face. Nwosu is planning to kill you, not scare you, not threaten you. Actually kill you. And it won't look like murder. It'll look like an accident, a robbery, something the police won't investigate too closely. How do you know this? Foleka's voice came out steady, cold. Because he's paying someone in here to do the same thing to me. Doten's laugh was bitter. Ironic, right? The man I used to play golf with is trying to have me killed in prison because his wife is hiding under my ex-wife's protection. That doesn't explain how you know his plans. I know because the man he hired to kill me? Marcus Okonkwo? Former military, now works as a private contractor for wealthy men who need problems solved. Doten's fingers made air quotes despite the handcuffs. Marcus and I go way back. We did business together before everything. He came to me 3 days ago with a warning. Said Nwosu put out a contract on you, 5 million naira. Dead, not alive. The room temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. He's lying, Ngozi said immediately. This is a manipulation tactic. Call Marcus yourself if you don't believe me. Doten rattled off a phone number. He'll confirm everything. He's the one who told me Nwosu has people inside your organization. That's how they knew where Zainab was hiding. Someone on your staff is feeding him information. Folake's blood turned to ice. That's impossible. Everyone I hired has been vetted. Has been paid more, you mean? Doten leaned back. Nwosu has billions, Folake. He can outbid anyone, and he's patient. He planted someone in your foundation weeks ago, waiting for the right moment. Who? The word came out sharp. I don't know. Marcus wouldn't tell me. Said he didn't have that detail yet. Doten's eyes were intense. But he did tell me this. Nwosu isn't working alone. There are 5 other wealthy men, all abusers, all terrified. Their wives will follow Zainab's example and run to you. They formed a kind of alliance to destroy your foundation before it destroys them. The implications crashed over Folake like a wave. 6 wealthy, powerful men, all motivated to eliminate her, all with unlimited resources. This is insane, Ngozi whispered. This is Nigeria, Dotun corrected grimly. Rich men protect each other, always have. You threaten one, you threaten them all. He looked at Folake. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear it from me, but you've made some very dangerous enemies. Why do you care? Folake's voice cracked despite herself. Why warn me? After everything you did to me, why would you care if I live or die? The question hung in the air between them. Doten was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Because I spent 12 years destroying you. I won't spend the rest of my life knowing I let someone else finish the job. He met her eyes. You deserved better than me. You deserve better than this. And despite everything, I don't want you dead. Folake didn't know if she believed him, didn't know if it even mattered. What do I do? She asked. If everything you're saying is true, how do I stop them? You can't. Doughton's answer was blunt. Not alone. Not with lawyers and press conferences. These men play a different game. They make people disappear. They buy police. They own judges. He paused. But I know someone who can help. Someone who deals with men like Nwosu. Someone who handles things. Handles things how? Ngozi asked sharply. Doten looked uncomfortable. In ways that won't hold up in court, but will keep Folake alive long enough to expose them properly. You're suggesting we hire criminals to fight criminals, Ngozi said flatly. I'm suggesting you fight fire with fire. Doten's voice hardened. Because right now, Folake is bringing legal briefs to a knife fight, and she's going to lose. Folake stood abruptly. The metal chair scraped against concrete. I need air. She walked to the corner of the room, back to both Doten and Ngozi, trying to process everything. 6 months ago, she'd believed escaping Doten was her final battle. She'd won. She'd built something beautiful from the ashes of her marriage. She'd helped dozens of women find safety. And now she was learning that victory had made her a target, that saving women meant threatening powerful men, that doing the right thing might cost her life. Behind her, she heard Doten speak quietly to Ngozi. I know you don't trust me. I wouldn't trust me either. But everything I've said today is verifiable. Call Marcus. Have your people investigate. You'll find I'm telling the truth. And what do you want in exchange for this information? Ngozi asked suspiciously. Nothing. Dotun's answer was immediate. I don't want anything from her. Not forgiveness, not gratitude, not a reduced sentence. He paused. I just want her to survive. Folake turned around. Give me the contact information for Marcus and for your person who handles things. Ngozi stood. Folake, we need to discuss this later. Folake's voice was firm. Right now, Zainab has been missing for 5 hours. Every minute we waste, she's in more danger. Doten rattled off 2 phone numbers. Ngozi wrote them down reluctantly. One more thing, Doten said as they prepared to leave. Folake. She paused but didn't turn around. Your daughters. Temi and Fummy. Make sure they're somewhere safe, somewhere Nwosu can't find them." His voice cracked. "Please." Foleke walked out without responding, but as the prison doors closed behind her and Lagos air hit her lungs, she pulled out her phone and called her mother. "Mama," she said when the call connected. "Are you and the girls at Biodun's house?" "Yes, we just arrived." "Foleke, what's happening?" Temi said, "Keep them there. Don't let them leave. Don't tell anyone where they are." Foleke climbed into Ngozi's car. "I'll explain everything later. Just keep them safe." After hanging up, she stared at the 2 phone numbers Ngozi had written down. One belonged to a man who killed for money. The other belonged to someone who made problems disappear. 6 months ago, she'd been a woman who believed in justice, in laws, in doing things the right way. Now she was holding the phone numbers of criminals, given to her by her abusive ex-husband, because she'd learned the hard way that sometimes the system doesn't protect women. Sometimes women have to protect themselves, by any means necessary. Folake took a deep breath and dialed the first number. Marcus Okonkwo answered on the second ring. "Yeah?" "This is Folake Ogunle. I believe you have information about a contract on my life." A pause. Then, "Doughton said you might call. We should meet. Somewhere public. Somewhere safe." "There's nowhere safe right now," Folake said quietly. "But we still need to meet. Because I'm not running anymore. And I'm not dying either." "Then you better be ready to fight dirty," Marcus said. "Because Chief Nwosu doesn't play fair. And neither do the men backing him." "I survived 12 years with Dotun Babalola," Folake said, her voice steel. "I'm ready for anything." She hung up and looked at Ngozi. "This is insane," the lawyer said. "We're meeting with mercenaries and criminals instead of going to the police." "The police can't help us." Folake stared out the window at Lagos traffic. "Not against men this powerful. You know that as well as I do. So what's the plan?" "Find Zainab, expose Nwosu and his friends, protect my daughters." Folake's jaw set, "and show every abuser in Nigeria that women aren't prey anymore. We're predators too." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. "You have 48 hours to close the foundation. After that, Zainab dies, and you're next. Choose wisely. CN, Chief Nwosu. Playing games, threatening, underestimating, just like Doughton had for 12 years. But Folake wasn't the same woman who'd collapsed against a bloody wall 6 months ago. She was something different now, something dangerous. And Chief Obioma Nwosu was about to learn what happened when you threatened a survivor who had nothing left to lose. The restaurant Marcus chose was deliberately public, a busy Lebanese place in Victoria Island where businessmen made deals and politicians conducted private meetings that everyone could see. Folake sat in a corner booth at 8 p.m., back to the wall, facing the entrance. Old survival instincts from her marriage had taught her to always know her exits, always see who was coming. Ngozi sat beside her, rigid with disapproval. "This is still a terrible idea." "Noted." Folake's fingers drummed on the table. "For the 5th time. I'm your lawyer. It's my job to tell you when you're making decisions that could get you killed. And it's my job to save Zainab." Folake checked her phone. 43 hours left before Nwosu's deadline. No word from the police about leads. No ransom demands beyond closing the foundation, which told her this wasn't really about ransom at all. This was about power, control, silencing women who dared to speak. The same game Doughton had played, just with higher stakes. A man entered the restaurant. Tall, mid-40s, military bearing, impossible to hide even in casual clothes. Sharp eyes that cataloged every person, every exit, every potential threat before he took 3 steps. Marcus Okonkwo. He spotted Folake immediately. She'd told him what she'd be wearing and moved toward their booth with the efficiency of someone who'd spent years moving through hostile territory. He slid into the seat across from them without asking permission. Up close, his face was weathered, scarred along the jawline. Eyes that had seen things Folak didn't want to imagine. Mrs. Ogunle. His voice was flat, professional. I have 30 minutes before my next meeting. Let's make this quick. Did Doughton pay you to lie to me? Folak asked bluntly. Is this some elaborate scheme to manipulate me back into his life? Marcus almost smiled. If Doughton could afford to pay me anything right now, he wouldn't be in prison. No. What I told him is true. Chief Nwosu hired me to eliminate a problem in Kirikiri. I declined, but I know the man who took the job instead. He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. Recognize him? The photo showed a muscular man in his 30s with cold eyes and a neck tattoo. Folak had never seen him before, but Ngozi inhaled sharply. That's James Attawale. He's been hanging around the courthouse. Said he was writing a story about domestic violence cases for a magazine. He's not a journalist. Marcus put away the phone. He's a cleaner, former police. Got kicked out for excessive force. Now he freelances for men like Nwosu. His specialty is making murders look like accidents. Folak's blood ran cold. He's been at the courthouse? Near me? He's been studying you for 3 weeks. Your routines, your security, your vulnerabilities. Marcus leaned back. Nwosu is thorough. He doesn't move until he knows every angle. Then why are you warning me? Ngozi asked sharply. Why turn down the job and then help us? Professional courtesy. Marcus's expression didn't change. Dotun Babalola and I did business for 5 years. He was a bastard, but he always paid on time and never tried to cheat me. When I declined Nwosu's contract, I felt obligated to warn him his ex-wife was in danger. He paused. I don't particularly care if wealthy men kill each other, but I draw the line at contracts on women doing charity work. Bad optics, bad karma. How noble, Ngozi said dryly. I'm not noble. Marcus's voice was ice. I'm practical. Your foundation helps women leave abusive situations. Some of those women have brothers, fathers, sons who might remember I helped you. That's good business. Goodwill in communities I work in. He looked at Foleki. So yes, Mrs. Ogunle, I'm helping you, but only because it serves my interests. Don't mistake this for altruism. Folek appreciated the honesty. At least he wasn't pretending to be something he wasn't. What do you know about Zainab's location? She asked. Nothing concrete, but I know Nwosu's methods. He wouldn't keep her in the city. Too many cameras, too much risk. He has a compound outside Port Harcourt. Old oil facility he bought through shell companies. Private, isolated. If I were holding a hostage, that's where I'd go. Can you verify that? I can make calls, but it'll cost you. How much? Marcus named a figure that made Ngozi choke. 2 million naira. That's extortion, the lawyer protested. That's my consulting fee. Marcus shrugged. Information has value, especially information that could save a life. You want it cheap, call the police and see where that gets you. Folek thought about Zainab. 3 children under 10 years old. A woman who'd found the courage to run, to hide, to gather evidence against one of Nigeria's most powerful men. A woman now being held somewhere, terrified, possibly tortured. I'll pay it. Folek met Marcus's eyes. But I want more than just her location. I want a plan to get her out safely. That'll cost extra. I don't care. Name your price. Marcus studied her for a long moment. You're serious about this? About going up against Nwosu? I'm serious about not letting another woman die because powerful men think they're untouchable. Something shifted in Marcus's expression, almost respect. 3 million total. 1 for the location, 2 for extraction planning and logistics. I won't do the actual extraction, too risky, wrong skill set. But I'll tell you exactly how it needs to be done and connect you with people who can. Deal. Folek extended her hand across the table. They shook. His grip was firm, businesslike. I'll have preliminary information by tomorrow morning. Marcus said, but Mrs. Ogunle, understand something. Once we start this, there's no backing out. Nwosu will know someone interfered. He'll escalate. This doesn't end with rescuing one woman. This ends with either you or him completely destroyed. Then I better make sure it's him, Folake said quietly. Marcus stood. I'll be in touch. He left as efficiently as he'd arrived. Ngozi immediately grabbed Folake his arm. Do you realize what you just did? You hired a mercenary. You're planning an illegal rescue operation. This is insane. This is criminal. So is kidnapping. Folake's voice was steel. So is abuse. So is murder. Nwosu is playing outside the law. I can't beat him by following rules he's already broken. But you could go to prison. I could die. Folake looked at her lawyer, her friend. Ngozi, I appreciate everything you've done for me. Everything you continue to do. But if you can't support this, I understand. You can walk away. I won't blame you. Ngozi was quiet for a long moment, her face working through emotions. Finally, I took an oath to uphold the law. What you're planning violates every principle I believe in. I know. But I also took this case because I was tired of watching women die while the system moved too slowly to save them. Ngozi's jaw set. So I'm staying. God help me, I'm staying. But we do this smart. We document everything. We create legal cover. And if this goes south, we have an exit strategy. Relief flooded through Folake. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. We might both end up in jail. Ngozi pulled out her laptop. Now, let's figure out how to explain 3 million naira in consulting fees to your accountant. They left the restaurant 2 hours later with a preliminary plan and a list of phone calls to make. In the parking lot, Folake's phone rang. Her mother. Mama, is everything okay? Are the girls? We're fine. Safe. But Folake, you need to see something. Her mother's voice was urgent. I'm sending you a link, a video just posted online. The link came through. Folake clicked it. Her screen filled with Zainab's face. The woman was bound to a chair in what looked like an abandoned warehouse. Her face was bruised, swollen, dried blood crusted under her nose. But her eyes were defiant. Behind her, a man's voice spoke, deep, educated, terrifyingly calm. Mrs. Ogunle, Kientan, since you chose to ignore my reasonable request, I thought a visual demonstration might be more persuasive. The camera panned to show Chief Obioma Nwosu himself. 58 years old, silver-haired, wearing an expensive suit like this, was a boardroom meeting instead of a hostage situation. He looked like somebody's distinguished grandfather, like a man who donated to charities and cut ribbons at hospital openings. Not like a monster, but Folake had learned that monsters rarely looked like monsters. They looked like successful businessmen, loving fathers, pillars of the community. They looked like Doton in their wedding photos, smiling and promising forever. Nwosu placed his hand on Zainab's shoulder. She flinched but didn't cry out. You have 24 hours, Nwosu continued. Announce that Ogunle Properties Foundation is closing permanently. Issue a public statement that you've realized your mission was misguided. Return my wife to me, or the next video I post will be of her funeral. He leaned down close to Zainab's ear, but spoke loud enough for the camera. Tell them, my dear. Tell them what happens to wives who betray their husbands. Zainab's voice came out hoarse but steady. He'll kill me either way. Whether Folake closes the foundation or not, he's going to kill me for leaving, for talking, for... Nwosu's hand tightened on her shoulder. Zainab's words cut off in a gasp of pain. 24 hours, Mrs. Ogunle. The camera zoomed back to Nwosu's face. Choose wisely. The video ended. Folake stood in the parking lot, phone shaking in her hands. Beside her, Ngozi was already dialing. I'm calling the police commissioner. That video is evidence. They won't do anything. Folake's voice was hollow. He's too powerful, too connected. By the time they investigate, Zainab will be dead. Then what do we do? Folake thought about Marcus's words, about the compound outside Port Harcourt, about having 24 hours instead of 43, about Zainab's voice saying he'll kill me either way. We move up the timeline. Folake pulled out the card Marcus had given her with his number. We don't wait for him to give us information tomorrow. We act tonight. Tonight? Folake, we don't even know where she is yet. Then we make Marcus find out faster. Folake was already dialing. And we call the second number Doughton gave us, the person who handles things. You mean the criminal? I mean someone who can move faster than the police. The call connected. Marcus. It's Folake Ogunleye. I need that information tonight. Yes, tonight. Triple your fee if you have it in 3 hours. She hung up and dialed the second number. A woman answered. Yes? My name is Folake Ogunleye. Dotun Babalola gave me this number. He said you help with complicated situations. How complicated? I need to extract a hostage from a compound owned by Chief Obioma Nwosu in Port Harcourt within 24 hours. Silence. Then, that's not complicated. That's suicide. I'm paying. Folake named a figure that would drain half her savings. Another pause. Where are you? Victoria Island, Lagos. Stay there. I'll come to you. We talk in person. If I like what I hear, maybe I take the job. Maybe not. The woman's voice was hard, experienced. But Mrs. Ogunleye understands something before we meet. Men like Chief Nwosu don't lose gracefully. You go after him, you better be prepared to finish the job. Because if you leave him alive and angry, you're dead. Your family's dead. Everyone you love is dead. I understand. Do you? Because there's understanding in theory and understanding in practice. This isn't a courtroom battle. This isn't public relations. This is war. Are you ready for war? Folake thought about Zainab's bruised face, her defiant eyes, her hoarse voice saying he'll kill me either way. She thought about Bisola, bleeding in her office. She thought about Temitope and Funmilayo, hiding at their great-aunt's house, afraid. She thought about the dozens of other women in her safe houses, looking to her for protection. She thought about her own face pressed against a bloody marble wall 6 months ago, while 20 people watched her husband assault her. Yes, Folake said, I'm ready for war. Then I'll see you in 2 hours. Come alone. No lawyers, no witnesses, just you. The call ended. Ngozi was staring at her. Folake, this is spiraling out of control. We need to slow down, think this through. There's no time to think. Folake looked at her phone, at the frozen image of Zainab bound to a chair. We have 24 hours to save her life. Every minute we waste planning and considering and being cautious is a minute closer to her death. But what you're planning, it's not rescue. It's a military operation. People could get killed. People are already getting killed. Folake's voice cracked. Women are dying, Ngozi, every day. Because men like Nwosu believe they own their wives, own their bodies, own their lives, and the law moves too slowly to stop them. She looked at her lawyer. I know this terrifies you. It terrifies me too. But I'd rather die fighting than live knowing I could have saved Zainab and chose to be safe instead. Ngozi closed her eyes. If we do this, when we do this, there's no going back. Our lives change forever. My life changed forever the first time Doughton hit me. Folake's voice was quiet. Then it changed again when I found the courage to leave. Then again when I started the foundation. I'm tired of change happening to me. This time, I'm choosing the change. I'm choosing to fight back. Even if it costs everything, especially if it costs everything. Folake looked up at the Lagos sky, at the stars barely visible through the city lights, because some things are worth the cost. Her phone buzzed. Marcus. I have a location. Port Harcourt, like I thought. Old Shell facility compound 15 kilometers outside the city. Sending coordinates. But Mrs. Ogunlai, the security there is serious. Armed guards, surveillance. This isn't some backwater hideout. This is a fortress. Coordinates came through. Folake forwarded them to the woman she'd just spoken with. Then she called Biodun. Aunt Biodun, I need you to do something for me. Something that might sound crazy. After the past 6 months, nothing sounds crazy anymore. Biodun's voice was calm. What do you need? I need you to take the girls to London. Tonight. Use your private connections. Get them out of Nigeria until this is over. Silence. Then, how bad is it? Bad enough that I'm sending my daughters to another country. Folake's voice broke. I'm about to do something that might get me killed. And if it does, I need to know they're safe. That they're with someone who'll love them and protect them and tell them their mother died fighting for something that mattered. Folake. Please, Aunt Biodun, please. I've never asked you for anything this important, but I'm asking now. Take my girls somewhere and Wosu can't reach them. What are you planning? Something Doten would have called me too weak to do. Folake smiled bitterly. Something that proves he never knew me at all. I'll have them on a plane by midnight, Biodun said. Private charter, no passenger manifests, completely untraceable. She paused. But Folake, you come home to them. You hear me? Whatever you're about to do, you survive it and come home. I'll try. Don't try, do. Those girls have already lost too much. They can't lose their mother. After hanging up, Folake turned to Ngozi. Go home. Be with your family. I'll handle the meeting with the woman. Absolutely not. Ngozi's voice was firm. You said come alone. Fine. I'll wait in the car, but I'm not letting you meet with a criminal without backup. Ngozi, I'm staying. End of discussion. Folake was too tired to argue, too scared, too determined. 2 hours later, she sat in her car in an empty parking garage in Victoria Island. Ngozi was parked 3 spaces away, pretending to be on her phone but clearly watching. A motorcycle pulled up. The rider was slim, female, dressed in all black with a helmet that hid her face. She parked and walked to Folake's car. Tapped on the window. Folake rolled it down. The woman removed her helmet. She was younger than Folake expected, early 30s, Nigerian, with close-cropped natural hair and a scar bisecting her left eyebrow. Her eyes were the coldest Folake had ever seen. I'm Kemi. No last name offered. You're Folake. Yes. Show me the location. Folake pulled up the coordinates on her phone. Kemi studied them for 30 seconds. Difficult, but not impossible. I'll need a team, 5 people minimum. Cost will be 15 million naira total. Folake's breath caught. That was nearly everything she had. Can you get her out alive? Probably. 70% chance of success. 30% chance someone dies. Maybe Zainab, maybe one of my team. Maybe you if you insist on coming. I'm coming. Bad idea. I don't care. She needs to see a familiar face when you get her out. Someone she trusts. Otherwise, she'll think it's another trap. Kemi studied her. You really care about these women, the ones you're saving? Yes. Why? Most people don't risk their lives for strangers. Folake thought about how to answer. Because I know what it's like to be trapped. To believe you'll die in that trap. To think no one's coming to save you. She met Kemi's cold eyes. And because when I finally escaped, I promised myself I'd be the person who comes to save other women, no matter the cost. Something flickered in Kemi's expression. I had a sister. Husband beat her for 6 years. One day she called me, said she was ready to leave. I told her to wait 3 days while I arranged a safe place. Kemi's voice was flat. He killed her that night. Pushed her off their balcony. Made it look like suicide. I'm sorry. Don't be. Be ready. Kemi put her helmet back on. I take this job. We move tomorrow night, 24 hours from now. You meet me in Port Harcourt with the money, cash. We go in, we get her, we get out. Anyone who gets in the way gets hurt. Understand? Yes. And Mrs. Ogunle, after this, you and Chief Nwosu are enemies for life. He'll never stop coming after you. Never forgive, never forget. You sure you want this war? Foleke thought about Zainab's bruised face on the video, about her hoarse voice, about the 3 children who might grow up without a mother, about Temitope and Funmilayo who'd already grown up watching their father hurt their mother, about every woman who'd ever been told she was nothing without her abuser. I'm sure, Foleke said. Let's go to war. Kemi nodded once and drove away on her motorcycle, disappearing into Lagos traffic. Foleke sat in her car, hands shaking, knowing she'd just crossed a line she could never uncross. Tomorrow night she would become something she'd never been before. Not a victim, not a survivor, something else entirely. A warrior. The flight to Port Harcourt left at 6 a.m. Foleke sat in the business class cabin, surrounded by oil executives and businessmen heading to Nigeria's petroleum capital, and felt completely alone despite the crowd. She'd barely slept, spent the night transferring money, arranging logistics, saying goodbye to her daughters via video call without telling them it might be the last time. "Mom, why do we have to go to London?" Funmilayo had asked, her 15-year-old face suspicious on the screen. "Because Aunt Biodun needs help with a project," Foleke lied smoothly, "and because you two deserve a vacation after everything you've been through." "You're lying." Temitope's voice was flat. "Something's wrong. I can see it on your face." Foleke had looked at her 17-year-old daughter, so perceptive, so much older than she should be, and made a choice. "You're right. Something is wrong, but I'm handling it, and I need you safe while I do." She'd leaned closer to the camera. "Temi, Fummy, whatever happens, know that I love you more than anything in this world. You two are the reason I survived, the reason I kept fighting, the reason I started the foundation. You made me brave." "Mom, you're scaring me," Fummy whispered. "Don't be scared, be proud." Foleke had smiled through tears. "Your mother isn't a victim anymore. She's something better." The call had ended with both girls crying, Biodun in the background promising to keep them safe, and Foleke alone in her mother's house, wondering if she'd just said her last goodbye. Now, 30,000 feet above Nigeria, she pulled out her phone and reviewed the plan Kemi had sent. Operation Timeline. 18 Tio, team assembles at Safe House, Port Harcourt. 19 Tio, final briefing, equipment check. 21 Tio, move to compound perimeter. 22 Tio, breach and extraction. 20-30, exfiltration to secondary location. 23 Mars, medical assessment and debriefing. Simple, clean, professional, and absolutely terrifying. Foleke had never done anything like this. Never held a weapon. Never participated in violence. Her battles had been fought in courtrooms and press conferences, but Zainab didn't have time for courtrooms. The plane touched down in Port Harcourt at 7:30 a.m. The city stretched below, oil refineries belching smoke, luxury hotels catering to foreign executives, slums pressed against mansions in the chaotic way of Nigerian cities. Somewhere down there, Zainab was being held captive. Somewhere down there, Chief Nwosu was waiting. Foleke collected her single bag. She'd packed light, practical clothes, nothing that couldn't be abandoned if necessary, and took a taxi to a modest hotel in the old GRA district. Not luxury, not memorable. The kind of place where people ask no questions. In her room, she transferred 15 million naira in cash from a duffel bag to a secure backpack. The weight was enormous, both physically and metaphorically. This was her future. Her security, everything she'd built, and she was about to hand it to a woman she'd met once for a mission that had a 30% chance of failure. But what else could she do? Her phone buzzed. Marcus. Additional intel. Nwosu increased security after posting that video. 12 guards now instead of 8. He knows someone might try something. Be careful. 12 guards. armed, trained, loyal to a man who paid extremely well, against Kemi's team of 5. The math didn't look good. Foleke called Ngozi, who'd stayed in Lagos to manage the legal fallout if everything went wrong. "Any news from the police?" Folek asked. "They're investigating." Ngozi's voice dripped with sarcasm. "Which means they're doing nothing while they wait to see which side wins, you or Nwosu. That way they can back the winner and claim they helped all along." Typical. "Folek, I've been thinking, maybe we should go public with this. Post about Zainab's kidnapping on social media. Create pressure. Make it too expensive for Nwosu to kill her." "He posted a video of her being held hostage and nothing happened," Foleke said bitterly. "What makes you think more publicity would help?" "Because right now only a few thousand people have seen it. If we could make it viral, really viral, Nwosu couldn't make her disappear without questions." Foleke considered it. "Do it. Post everything. The kidnapping, Nwosu's history of abuse, Zainab's evidence. Make it impossible to ignore. That'll paint a target on your back." "I already have a target on my back." Folek looked out the hotel window at Port Harcourt's skyline. "At least this way, if Nwosu kills me, everyone will know who did it." After hanging up, Folek spent the day in her hotel room, watching social media explode. Ngozi had posted from the foundation's official account. Within 2 hours, the story was trending. Major news outlets picked it up. International organizations condemned the kidnapping. The British High Commission issued a statement calling for Zainab's safe return, but still no action from Nigerian authorities, because Chief Obioma Nwosu was too powerful, too connected, too rich, the kind of man who'd always gotten away with everything, until now. At 6 p.m., Folek took a taxi to an address in a quiet residential area. The safe house was unremarkable, a 2-story building behind high walls, the kind of place wealthy people kept as investment properties. She paid the taxi and knocked on the gate. It opened immediately. Kemi stood there in tactical black clothing, a pistol visible at her hip. "You're on time." "Good." Inside, 4 other people waited in the living room. 3 men, 1 woman, all Nigerian, all with the same hard, experienced look as Kemi. "My team," Kemi said without offering names. "You don't need to know who they are. They don't need to know your story. We're professionals. We do the job, we get paid, we disappear." Folek set down the backpack with the money. "Half now, half when Zainab is safe." Agreed. Kemi opened the backpack, counted the cash with practiced efficiency. 7.5 million naira. She distributed shares to her team. Then she pulled out a tablet showing satellite images of the compound. "Here's what we know. Former shell facility, abandoned in the 90s, bought by Nwosu through shell companies 10 years ago. He's renovated it as a private compound. Main building here," she pointed, "is where Zainab is likely held. 3 entrances, 12 guards on rotating shifts, 4 guards active at any time, 8 resting." "How do we get past them?" Folek asked. "We don't." Kemi zoomed in. "We create a diversion here, at the south entrance, draw guards away from the main building. While they respond, we breach from the north, extract the target, and exit before they realize what happened." "What kind of diversion?" Kemi smiled, and it wasn't pleasant. "Fire. Explosions are too risky, might hurt Zainab. But a vehicle fire will draw attention, make them think someone's attacking from that direction." One of the men spoke up, his voice gravelly. "I'll handle the diversion. Done it before. In and out, no traces." "What about Nwosu himself?" Folek asked. "Will he be there?" "Intel says yes. He's staying at the compound until this situation is resolved." Kemi made air quotes, "which means we might encounter him during extraction. If we do, we avoid engagement if possible. But if he gets in the way," Kemi's hand rested on her pistol, "we do what's necessary." Foleki's stomach churned. She'd fantasized about Nwosu facing justice. But violence? Could she really be part of something that might end with him dead? Then she thought about Zainab's bruised face, the cigarette burns on her arms, the way she'd flinched when Nwosu touched her shoulder in the video. Yes, she could. "Mrs. Ogunle," Kemi said, "you'll stay with me during the operation. Stay behind me. Do exactly what I say. Don't speak unless I tell you to. Don't touch anything. Don't run unless I run. Understand?" "Yes. If shooting starts, you hit the ground and stay down. You don't play hero. You don't try to help. You become the smallest target possible and let us work." "I understand." "Good." Kemi checked her watch. "We move in 3 hours, eat something, use the bathroom, then we don't stop until it's done." The next 3 hours crawled by like days. Folaki couldn't eat. Her stomach was twisted into knots. She sat in a corner of the safe house, watching Kemi's team prepare with professional efficiency. They checked weapons, loaded magazines, tested communication equipment, reviewed the compound layout until every detail was memorized. These weren't activists or volunteers. These were soldiers, mercenaries, people who'd seen combat, survived it, learned to thrive in it. And Folek, a woman who'd spent 12 years as a housewife, then 6 months as a foundation director, was about to go into battle alongside them. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "I heard what you're planning. Don't do it. Nwosu is expecting you." "It's a trap. Please, Folek. For once in your life, be smart instead of brave. D. Doten." Somehow he'd heard about the rescue attempt, probably through Marcus or his prison connections. She stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. If this was a trap, she was walking into it anyway, because the alternative was abandoning Zainab to die. And Folek had learned something important over the past 6 months. She'd rather die fighting for what was right than live safely by doing nothing. At 9 p.m., they loaded into 2 vehicles, a van for the team, a sedan for the diversion. Folek rode in the van, squeezed between Kemi and the female team member who finally introduced herself as T. "First time?" T asked quietly. "Is it that obvious? You're shaking." T's voice wasn't unkind, normal. "Everyone shakes on their first op. Just remember, we're good at this. We do this for a living. Trust us to keep you alive." "What if something goes wrong?" "Then we adapt, improvise, survive." T checked her weapon one more time. "That's what we do." The drive to the compound took 30 minutes through increasingly rural roads. The city lights faded behind them. Darkness swallowed everything except the van's headlights. Folek had never felt so far from safety. They parked a kilometer from the compound and continued on foot. The ground was uneven, forcing Folek to concentrate on not twisting an ankle. Through the trees ahead, lights became visible. The compound. Kemi raised her hand. Everyone stopped. She pulled out night vision binoculars and studied the compound for 2 full minutes. Then she gestured to the man handling the diversion. He nodded and disappeared into the darkness. 10 minutes, Kemi whispered to the team. "Then we move." Folake crouched in the underbrush, her heart hammering so hard she was sure everyone could hear it. Mosquitoes buzzed around her head. The humid Port Harcourt air pressed down like a blanket. Somewhere in that compound, Zainab waited. Somewhere in there, Chief Nwosu believed he'd already won. Folake's phone buzzed again. She pulled it out carefully. Another message, this time from Ngozi. Zainab's story just hit CNN International. Celebrities are sharing it. Politicians are demanding action. You did it, Folake. You made it impossible to ignore. But be careful. Nwosu knows he's cornered now. Cornered animals are the most dangerous. Folake tucked away her phone just as an explosion of light and sound erupted from the south side of the compound. Fire. Enormous, roaring, impossible to ignore. Shouts. Running footsteps. Guards rushing toward the diversion. Kemi touched her earpiece. "Diversion successful? Moving now." They ran toward the compound's north entrance, low and fast. Folake struggled to keep up, her civilian body not built for this kind of movement. The fence loomed ahead, 10 feet of chain link topped with razor wire. One of the men pulled out wire cutters and went to work. 30 seconds later, a gap opened. They slipped through one by one. Folake last, her jacket catching on the fence and tearing. She yanked free and kept moving. The main building was 100 meters ahead. 3 stories, concrete. Built to last through decades of Nigerian weather and neglect. Lights blazed from the south side where guards were dealing with the fire. The north side was darker, quieter. They reached a side door. Kemi tried the handle. Locked. The man with the wire cutters pulled out a different tool, something electronic. He attached it to the lock. Lights blinked. A soft click. The door opened. They were in. The interior was dimly lit, industrial. Pipes along the ceiling, concrete floors, the smell of oil and rust. Kemi gestured. 2 team members go left, 1 goes right. She and T stay with Folak. They move deeper into the building, checking rooms systematically. Storage, old offices, equipment lockers, no Zainab. Kemi touched her earpiece. 2nd floor, moving up. They found a stairwell and climbed quickly. The 2nd floor was more finished. Actual hallways, real doors, signs of recent renovation, and voices, male voices, arguing. Kemi held up a fist. Everyone froze. Don't care if she's trending on CNN. A man's voice, educated, furious. Chief Nwosu. She's my wife, my property. This Western nonsense about women's rights doesn't apply in my house. Another voice, younger, uncertain. Sir, but the international pressure will blow over like it always does. A week from now, some other crisis will distract everyone. But if I let my wife escape, if I let this Ogunlai woman win, every wife in Nigeria will think she can defy her husband. Footsteps pacing. No, we end this tonight. Bring Zainab to me. And when the Ogunlai woman comes, and she will come, I know the type. We'll be ready for her. Kemi's eyes met Folake's. Trap. Doughton had been right, but they were already inside, already committed. Kemi made a series of hand signals. Her team moved into position. Then she kicked open the door. The room exploded into chaos. 3 guards inside, weapons drawn. Chief Nwosu behind a desk. And in the corner, bound to a chair, Zainab. She was conscious, alert. When she saw Folak, her eyes went wide with hope and terror. Down! Kemi shoved Folak to the floor as gunfire erupted. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Concrete chips exploded from walls. A window shattered. Folak pressed herself flat, hands over her head, exactly as Kemi had instructed. Above her, controlled bursts of fire, Kemi and T moving with lethal efficiency, bodies hitting the floor, groans of pain, then silence, ringing, awful silence. Clear, T's voice. Folake lifted her head. 2 guards down, unconscious or worse. The 3rd had his hands raised in surrender, being zip-tied by one of Kemi's team members who'd appeared from the hallway. And Chief Nwosu. He stood behind his desk, hands raised, silver hair disheveled, expensive suit torn. His face showed no fear, only rage, pure, impotent rage. You, he spat at Folake. You stupid woman, you have no idea what you've done. Folake stood slowly. Her legs shook, but she forced herself upright, forced herself to walk across the room to Zainab. Are you okay? She asked, kneeling to cut the ropes binding her. Better now, Zainab whispered. You came. I thought I was going to die here. Not tonight. Folake helped her stand. Zainab's legs buckled and T caught her other side. This isn't over, Nwosu's voice cut across the room. You think rescuing one woman changes anything? I have resources you can't imagine, connections you can't touch. By tomorrow, you'll be arrested for breaking and entering, for assault, for terrorism. Maybe. Folake turned to face him. But by tomorrow, the whole world will know exactly what you are. A wife-beater, a murderer, a coward who has to kidnap women because he can't control them any other way. You have no proof. I have everything. Zainab's voice was stronger now. Recordings, bank statements, photographs, and witnesses. She looked at Nwosu with contempt. Your lawyer, your accountant, your driver. They all talked because you never paid them enough to stay loyal, and I offered them immunity if they testified. Nwosu's face went pale. Impossible. Possible. Folik smiled. While you were busy threatening me, Zainab's evidence was being delivered to every news outlet in Nigeria. By tomorrow morning, there won't be a politician or judge in the country willing to protect you. You're finished. Then I have nothing to lose. Nwosu's hand moved toward his desk drawer. Don't. Kemi's gun was already aimed at his head. Give me a reason, please. Nwosu froze. For the first time, fear flickered across his face. He was used to intimidating women, used to being the most powerful person in the room. But Kemi wasn't intimidated, and she would absolutely shoot him if he moved wrong. We're leaving, Kemi said. You stay here. Don't follow. Don't call for help until we're gone. If I see any of your guards, I start shooting. They backed toward the door. Zainab supported between Folake and T. In the hallway, the other team members had secured the route. They moved quickly toward the stairs. Behind them, Nwosu's voice echoed. This isn't finished, Ogunleye. You hear me? This isn't... Whatever else he said was lost as they descended to the first floor. The diversion fire was dying down outside. Guards would be returning soon. They ran for the north entrance, burst through the door, sprinted across the compound toward the hole in the fence. Folake's lungs burned, her legs screamed, but she kept moving, kept pulling Zainab along. Behind them, shouts. Someone had discovered the breach. Move! Kemi barked. They hit the fence, practically throwing Zainab through the gap. Folake followed, T right behind her. Gunfire. Real gunfire. Not controlled bursts in a room, but wild shooting in the darkness. A bullet whined past Folake's head, so close she felt the air displacement. Then they were in the trees, darkness swallowing them. They ran. Branches whipped at Folake's face. She tripped over roots, caught herself, kept running. Her heart felt like it would explode. Her vision narrowed to tunnel focus. Just the person ahead of her, just the next step, just survive the next second. Finally, the van appeared. They piled in. The engine roared to life. They were moving before the doors fully closed. Someone, T, was on her phone. Medical standing by, ETA 15 minutes. Zainab collapsed against Folak, sobbing. Thank you. I thought... Don't think about it. Folake held her tight. You're safe now. It's over. But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. This wasn't over. This was just the beginning of something much bigger. Chief Nwosu wasn't the only powerful abuser in Nigeria. He wasn't even the worst. And now Folake had declared war on all of them. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number, though she suspected she knew who it was. 5 other men just like him, all watching, all afraid. You've started something that won't stop until either they're destroyed or you are. I hope you're ready for what comes next, because they are. CN. Folake stared at the message as Port Harcourt darkness raced past the van windows. She'd rescued Zainab. She'd embarrassed one of Nigeria's most powerful men. She'd proven that women weren't helpless. But she'd also made enemies who would never forgive, never forget, never stop hunting her. Beside her, Zainab had fallen into exhausted sleep against her shoulder. This woman, and dozens more like her, all looking to Folak for protection, all depending on her to keep fighting. You okay? Kemi asked from the front seat. No, Folake admitted, but I will be. Because she had to be. Because the war had only just begun, and Folake was done running. They're coming for you! Bisola's voice shattered through Folake's phone at 4 a.m., 3 days after the Port Harcourt rescue. Folake bolted upright in bed at her mother's house in Ibadan, heart hammering. Who? Who's coming? Everyone. Nwosu, his friends, the police. They've formed some kind of alliance. Folake, they have a warrant for your arrest, terrorism charges, armed assault, kidnapping. Bisola was sobbing. They're saying you kidnapped Zainab, that you orchestrated everything. They've issued a red notice through Interpol. The world tilted. That's impossible. Zainab is safe. She gave a statement to the press. She told everyone. They're saying she was coerced, that you brainwashed her. They have 5 judges signing affidavits supporting Nwosu. Bisola's voice cracked. Folake, they're not just coming after you legally. There are men outside the Lagos safe house right now. Armed men. We had to evacuate everyone. Downstairs, Folake's mother screamed. Glass shattered. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. Mama! Folake grabbed her phone and ran to the door, yanking it open. Her elderly mother stood in the hallway, face pale with terror, pointing downstairs. Men, with guns. They broke the windows. They're coming up. A male voice boomed from below. Folake Ogunlai, you are under arrest for terrorism and kidnapping. Come down with your hands up. But the voice was wrong. Too aggressive, too violent. Real police didn't sound like that. Folake's mind raced with impossible speed. These weren't real police. They were Nwosu's men. But how had they found her? The location was secret, protected. Her phone. They'd tracked her phone. She grabbed her mother's arm. The back stairs, now! They ran down the servants' staircase as the front stairs thundered with heavy boots ascending. Behind them, men's voices. Check every room. Find her. They burst into the kitchen. Folake yanked open the back door. 4 more men waited in the garden, guns drawn. Trap. Complete trap. Hands up! The lead man, huge, scarred, military bearing, aimed his weapon at Folake's head. Both of you, now! Folake raised her hands, mind spinning. Her mother did the same, trembling. They were herded back into the house, into the sitting room, the beautiful room where she'd gathered with her family just days ago, planning Zainab's rescue, now filled with armed men. And sitting in her mother's favorite chair, looking perfectly composed despite the early hour, sat Chief Obioma Nwosu. He'd aged in 3 days. His silver hair was disheveled. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. His expensive suit was wrinkled, but his smile was pure malice. Mrs. Ogunlai, we meet at last in person. He gestured to the sofa. Please, sit. You too, madam. A nod at Folake's mother. They sat. Folake positioned herself between her mother and Nwosu, protective even now. You've caused me considerable trouble. Nwosu continued conversationally, as if they were discussing the weather. My wife's escape, the international publicity, the business partners withdrawing investments, the politicians suddenly refusing my calls. He leaned forward. Do you have any idea how much money you've cost me? Not nearly enough, Folake said. One of the guards moved toward her. Nwosu waved him back. Spirit, I respect that. You remind me of my first wife, before she learned her place. His eyes went cold. Before she learned what happens to women who defy me. You mean before you murdered her? Murder is such an ugly word. I prefer solved a problem. Nwosu smiled. The police called it suicide. Depression, they said. Tragic. Everyone believed it because I'm a pillar of the community, a philanthropist, a job creator. He was confessing, right here, in front of witnesses, because he planned to kill her anyway. Folake's phone, still in her hand behind her back, buzzed. She carefully swiped to answer without looking, praying whoever was calling would hear what was happening. Here's what happens next, Nwosu said. You're going to record a video. You'll say you kidnapped my wife, brainwashed her, fabricated evidence against me and 5 other respected businessmen. You'll confess to running a criminal enterprise disguised as a women's charity. And if I refuse, then your mother dies. right here, right now, followed by your daughters. Yes, I know they're in London, but I have people there too. Followed by every woman currently in your safe houses. Followed by you." He spoke so calmly, like ordering breakfast. "Dozens of deaths, all because you were too proud to admit defeat." Folake's mother grabbed her hand, squeezing hard. "Or," Nwosu continued, "you confess, discredit yourself. Your foundation collapses. The women scatter, and you go to prison for 20 years, but everyone else lives. Your mother, your daughters, the women you claim to protect." He tilted his head. "What's one life against so many? Isn't that what martyrs do? Sacrifice themselves?" Folake thought about Temitope and Funmilayo safe in London, about Zainab, recovered and giving interviews to international media, about Bisola and the dozens of other women who'd found courage through her foundation, about her mother sitting beside her, who'd finally learned to stand up against abuse after 63 years of silent compliance. Could she trade all their lives for her own pride? "I need guarantees," Folake said quietly. "How do I know you'll keep your word?" "You don't." Nwosu shrugged. "But it's the only offer you'll get. Make the video, or everyone dies. Your choice." Behind her back, Folake's phone was still connected, still recording, still transmitting this confession to whoever had called. She prayed it was the right person. "Okay," she said, "I'll make your video." Nwosu smiled triumphantly. "Smart woman. Finally." He gestured to one of his men. "Set up the camera." The man pulled out a professional video camera they'd come prepared and set it on a tripod. "Now," Nwosu said, "you'll read exactly what I tell you, word for word." He pulled out a script, handed it to Folake. She read the first line. "My name is Folake Ogunle, and I am a criminal and a liar." The words tasted like poison, but she kept reading. "I founded my so-called charity as a front for extortion. I targeted wealthy men, helped their wives escape, and then blackmailed the husbands for money." Glass exploded inward from 3 windows simultaneously. Smoke grenades rolled across the floor, filling the room with choking white clouds. "Ambush!" Nwosu's guards raised their weapons, spinning in confusion. Dark figures poured through the broken windows, moving fast, professional. Kemi's team. Gunfire erupted, controlled, precise. Nwosu's men went down one by one, non-lethal shots to shoulders and legs. Folake grabbed her mother and pulled her behind the sofa. Through the smoke, Kemi appeared like a ghost. "You okay?" "How did you— Your phone. You butt-dialed me 20 minutes ago, heard everything, called everyone." Kemi smiled grimly. "You're not the only one with connections." The smoke began to clear. Nwosu's men were down, disarmed, zip-tied. And Chief Obioma Nwosu himself sat in the chair, hands raised, face purple with rage. "You can't do this," he screamed. "I'm Chief Obioma Nwosu. I have diplomatic connections, parliamentary immunity. You'll all go to prison for this." "No," a new voice said from the doorway. "You will." Folake's head snapped around. Inspector General Amaka Eze stood in the entrance, flanked by 20 actual police officers. Nigeria's highest-ranking female law enforcement official, a woman known for refusing bribes and breaking corruption rings. Behind her, camera crews, BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, local Nigerian stations, all broadcasting live. Chief Nwosu," Inspector General Eze said formally, "you are under arrest for kidnapping, assault, conspiracy to commit murder, and corruption. You have the right to remain silent, but I doubt you will." "This is a setup." Nwosu's voice cracked. "A conspiracy. This woman," he pointed at Folake, "is a terrorist." "This woman," Ez corrected coldly, "is a hero. And you are a criminal who just confessed to murder on a recorded phone call that was transmitted to my office, the Ministry of Justice, and approximately 40,000 people watching a live stream." Nwosu's face went gray. "What?" Folake held up her phone, still connected, still streaming, to Ngozi, who'd immediately connected it to every media outlet and government office she could reach. Every word Nwosu had said, every threat, every confession, every revelation had been broadcast live. "You're done," Folake said quietly. "Not because I destroyed you, because you destroyed yourself." Officers moved forward, handcuffing Nwosu. He struggled, screaming about lawyers and connections and mistakes, but his voice faded as they dragged him out, past cameras broadcasting his humiliation to the world. Inspector General Ez approached Folake. "Mrs. Ogunle, I need to ask you about the Port Harcourt incident. I rescued a kidnapping victim using private security contractors," Folake said calmly, "all of whom were licensed and legal. We used minimal force. No one died. Zainab Nwosu is alive because we acted when the police couldn't. Wouldn't," Ezi corrected, "because officers loyal to Nwosu blocked the investigation." She sighed. "You put me in a difficult position. What you did was vigilante justice. Illegal, dangerous, but necessary." "But necessary," Ezi agreed reluctantly, "which is why I'm not arresting you. Instead, I'm asking for your cooperation. Nwosu mentioned 5 other men. I need their names. I don't know all of them, but you know some." Isa's eyes were sharp. "And so does your foundation. Women who've escaped similar situations. Women with evidence." Folake thought about the files Zainab had provided, the recordings, the financial documents. "If I give you names, what happens to them?" "The same thing that's happening to Nwosu: investigation, arrest if warranted, trial, justice." Ezi leaned closer. "Real justice, not the bought and paid for kind. I promise you that." Folake looked at her mother, still shaking but alive. Thought about her daughters in London, safe, about Zainab, recovering but free, about Bisola and dozens of other survivors. "I'll give you everything," she said. "Names, evidence, testimony, all of it." "Good." Ezi straightened. "Because this doesn't end with one arrest. This is the beginning of something bigger, a reckoning for every powerful man who thought his money made him untouchable." She left with her officers, leaving Folake and her mother in the damaged sitting room, surrounded by Kemi's team. "You good?" Kemi asked. "I'm alive." Folake looked at the broken windows, the bullet holes in her childhood home's walls. "That's more than I expected." "You're more than alive. You won." Kemi holstered her weapon. "Nwosu is finished. His allies will scatter now that the heat's on them. Your foundation is safe. For now." "For now," Kemi agreed. "But there will always be another threat, another powerful man feeling threatened. You ready for that?" Folake thought about it, really thought about it. 6 months ago, she'd been a woman who just wanted safety, wanted peace, wanted to rebuild her life quietly. But she'd learned something important. You couldn't have peace while others suffered, couldn't be truly safe while other women were trapped. "Yes," she said, "I'm ready." 2 weeks later, the press conference was held at the Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. Every major media outlet in Nigeria attended. International press, too. Folake stood behind the podium wearing traditional attire, a stunning blue iro and buba that her mother had chosen. Her daughters flanked her, back from London. Temitope on her right, 17 and fierce. Funmilayo on her left, 15 and unbreakable. Behind them, Zainab Nwosu and her 3 children. Bisola, 12 other women who'd escaped abuse through the foundation, all standing together, all refusing to hide anymore. The cameras rolled. Folake began. 2 weeks ago, Chief Obioma Nwosu was arrested for kidnapping, assault, and murder. He is currently being held without bail, awaiting trial. His business empire is under investigation. His political connections are severing ties. She paused. But this story isn't about him. It's about the woman he tried to silence, and the hundreds of women across Nigeria who refuse to stay silent anymore. She gestured to the women behind her. These women are survivors, not victims, survivors. They escaped abuse, they found courage, they chose freedom over fear, and today we're announcing something new. The screen behind her lit up with a logo, the Reckoning Project. This is more than a foundation now, this is a movement. We're partnering with Inspector General Easy's office, with international human rights organizations, with lawyers and activists across Africa. Folik's voice strengthened. We're creating a database of abusers, a network of safe houses, a legal defense fund for women fighting for freedom, and most importantly, we're ending the silence that allows abuse to thrive. She looked directly into the cameras. To every woman watching this who's trapped in an abusive relationship, you are not alone. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are strong enough to survive. And when you're ready to leave, we will be here, with lawyers, with safe houses, with protection, with whatever you need. The room erupted in applause, but Folak wasn't finished. And to every abuser watching this, your time is over. The silence that protected you is breaking. The fear that controlled your victims is fading. The power you thought you had is disappearing. Because we're not afraid of you anymore. She stepped back from the podium. Zainab stepped forward. "My name is Zainab Nwosu," she said clearly. "My husband beat me for 13 years. He broke my bones. He burned me with cigarettes. He told me I was nothing without him. He was wrong." Her voice never wavered. "I'm something better without him. And so is every woman who finds the courage to leave." One by one, the other women spoke. Bisola, then the others, each telling their story, each refusing to be ashamed anymore. When the press conference ended, journalists swarmed with questions, but Folake slipped out a side entrance with her daughters. In the quiet hallway, Temitope hugged her mother fiercely. "I'm so proud of you, Mom." "We both are," Funmilayo added, wrapping her arms around them. "You're basically a superhero." Folake laughed through tears. "I'm just a woman who got tired of being quiet." "You're more than that," a voice said. Folake turned. Doten stood 10 feet away, flanked by 2 prison guards. He was thinner, older, wearing prison orange, but his eyes, for the first time in years, looked clear, sober, present. "What are you doing here?" Folake's voice was cold. "I was granted a 1-hour supervised release to give testimony against Nwosu." Doten looked at her daughters. "Timi, Fumi, you two have grown so much." "Don't talk to them," Folake said sharply. "I know." Doten raised his hands, cuffed in surrender. "I know I have no right, but I wanted to say, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you won. I'm glad," his voice cracked, "that you became everything I tried to destroy." Folake stared at this man, her abuser, her daughter's father, the person who'd shaped so much of her trauma, and felt nothing. Not love, not hate, not even anger anymore, just indifference. "I hope you find peace, Doten," she said quietly. "Real peace, the kind that doesn't require hurting others to feel powerful." "I'm trying." He looked at his daughters. "I'm in therapy, in prison. It's helping me see what I became, what I did to all of you." Tears streamed down his face. "I'm sorry. I know it doesn't fix anything. I know I can never undo the damage, but I'm sorry." Temitope spoke, her voice hard. "Good. You should be. What you did to Mom, to us, it was unforgivable." "I know. But," Temi continued, "maybe someday if you actually change, if you become someone different, maybe we can talk. Not now, not soon, but someday." Doten nodded, unable to speak. The guards led him away. Folake watched him go and realized something profound. He had no power over her anymore. Not over her emotions, not over her future, not over anything. She'd won more than legal battles. She'd won herself back. 6 months later, the Ogunlai Properties Foundation had expanded to 12 cities across Nigeria. 300 women housed, 50 abusers arrested, countless lives changed. Folake stood in the new Lagos headquarters, a beautiful building she'd purchased with the money from Dotun's final settlement, and looked at the wall of photos. Survivors, all of them. Women who'd walked through hell and come out the other side. Her phone rang. Inspector General Ease. "Mrs. Ogunlai, I have news. Chief Nwosu was sentenced today. 40 years. No parole." Folake closed her eyes. "Thank you." The other 5 men are under investigation. 2 have already fled the country. 3 are cooperating, hoping for reduced sentences. Your evidence was crucial. After hanging up, Folake walked to the window overlooking Lagos. The city sprawled below, chaotic, beautiful, broken and thriving simultaneously. Somewhere in that city, women were suffering, being hurt, being controlled. But somewhere in that city, other women were escaping, finding courage, discovering their strength. And Folake would be there for them, every single one. Her daughters appeared in the doorway, both of them working at the foundation now in their spare time. Both of them fierce advocates. "Mom," Fummy said, "there's someone here to see you. She says her husband has been hurting her for 6 years. She's ready to leave. She needs help." Folake turned from the window. "Then let's help her." They walked together down the hall, 3 generations of women, grandmother, mother, daughters, all working to break cycles of abuse that had plagued their family and countless others. The woman waiting in reception looked terrified, bruised, broken, but alive and ready to fight. Folake extended her hand. "Welcome. You're safe now. Let's talk about your future." As she led the woman to her office, Folake thought about her own journey. From a bleeding woman collapsed against a marble wall, to a survivor, to a warrior, to this, someone who turned pain into purpose. She'd been slammed against that wall by a man who thought violence made him powerful. But she'd gotten back up, and she'd built something beautiful from the ashes of her suffering, not despite the violence. Because of what she'd learned from surviving it, that women were stronger than anyone imagined, that silence was the real enemy, that justice was possible, even when the system failed, that one woman's courage could spark a revolution. The reckoning had begun, and Folake Ogunlai, once a victim, now a voice for the voiceless, would make sure it never stopped, based on true events. Domestic violence affects 1 in 3 women globally. In Nigeria, only 30% of cases are ever reported. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, you are not alone. You deserve better help is available. National Domestic Violence Hotline number, women's rights organizations. List, Your Life Matters, Your Story. Matters Speak Up. Survive, Thrive. In memory of every woman who didn't survive. In honor of every woman still fighting. In celebration of every woman who broke free. The end. Thank you for following Folake's journey from part 1 through part 2. Her story shows us that survival is possible, justice is achievable, and courage can change the world. If this story helped you or someone you know, please share it. Drop a final comment telling us what this story meant to you. And remember, you are stronger than you know. Like, subscribe, and join us for more powerful stories that matter. Until next time, stay strong, stay safe, stay brave.